Hi students, this is Mrs. Marinelli with Business 268, Electronic Calculating, and this lesson is 16 amounts and percents of increase or decrease. So when businesses are analyzing how their business is going, they need to compare. They need to compare this year with last year. They need to compare this employee with another employee. They need to see, are they doing better or worse? Which employee is their best salesman? Maybe compare this month with last month so they can make decisions for their business. Compare last year's Valentine's Day with this year's. What should we do for next year? Has Valentine's Day been decreasing sales over the past 5 years or increasing? So we know what type of amount of inventory to buy. So they have to analyze all of their data. So one way to analyze is to find the amount and the percent of increase or decrease. So the formula for that is new, which could be the newest year or the newest month, minus the old, which could be the old year or the oldest month, divided by the old. So new minus the old is going to give you the change. New minus old gives you change, and when you take the change and you divide it by the old, you're going to get the percent of change. So if you've had some other business classes, business finance, you've probably worked with this formula before. So to find change, it's new minus the old. When you divide by the old, you get the percent of change. So if you're looking at page 102, we have AB distributors, and they're comparing their income statement from one year to the next. So in this instance, consider the first column the new year and the second column the old year. If it doesn't have it for you, then assume new is first, old is second. That might not always be in that order though. So we're going to compare sales. How did we do this year compared with last year? So this year is the new, 900,000, minus the past year, 800,000, which obviously is 100,000. So we did 100,000 better this year than last year. Divide that by the old, and the old is the 800,000. And that will give you the percent of change. So remember, if you want to break this down, for every zero on top, you can get rid of a zero on the bottom. So it's 1/8. And then on your 10 key, what's 1 divided by 8? I should have my decimal set at 4. So it's 1 divided by 8, which is 0.1250. So we want to take that decimal and convert it to a percent, 0.1250. How do we convert a decimal to a percent? We move the decimal 2 places to the right and add a percent sign. So it's 12.50% better than the previous year. So the next one, returns and allowances. Well, 1,600 minus 1,600 is 0. Divided by 0 is 0, so that's just 0. Okay, so net sales, again new, $884,000 minus the old $784,000 is again 100,000. Divide by the old. So I'm going to get rid of the zeros and clear this. $12.76%. So I did that in one step. 0.1276 is the answer. How do you convert a decimal to a percent? Move it 2 places to the right and add your percent sign. So they did 12.76% better. So it's always new minus the old divided by the old. So sometimes they do worse. So if your answer is a negative, you need to make sure and put a negative sign. The business needs to know that they did worse so they can analyze how can we turn this around and make it better. So if they do worse, then it's a negative. That's okay. You can have negatives. So page 103 is the same thing. And that is it for lesson 16. If you want to save a lot of work, look on page 102, number 10. If you put those answers into memory, you'll get the grand total for the amount of change. So you don't have to work that problem out either way. So memorize new minus the old divided by the old. Always look at the heading. They might have the old first instead of writing the new first. Don't work it out backwards. You'd have your information backwards, and then the business would make wrong decisions based on that data. So new minus the old divided by the old. New minus the old gives you change, divided by the old gives you percent of change. Very common business mathematical problem for businesses to make good forecasting, make good decisions on what they should be doing in the future. Have a great day.